The cost of IT in business can be staggering. From hardware and software expenses to services like internet and phone, you don't need to spend a fortune on IT to succeed. If your organization spends more than $500 monthly on any service, or you're considering signing a long-term contract, IT Enabled can help you manage your technology and minimize your costs. Contact us today to schedule a free consultation. IT Enabled, we're here to help.
Welcome back to the Chamber Connect podcast. We're super excited to have you back with us this week. We have a special guest. We have a Leadership Lufkin class reunion here happening on the podcast a little bit with Amanda joining us. But we have Ivorie Ford, who has just recently won the Advocate for Opportunity Award and has had a ton of change happen since you were on the podcast last. So you've been here before with us, but welcome. Thanks for joining us. So for those who may not know you, just kind of tell us a little bit about you, and then we'll get into the new stuff.
Awesome. As you said, my name is Ivorie Ford. Most people call me Coach Ivory. I am native of Lufkin, Texas. I was born and raised here. Recently moved back about 5 or 6 years ago from Arlington when I was in college. Not much to me. I'm just a country girl who loves Jesus and loves her family.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. And tell us about your business. So tell us about the gym and kind of the story behind all that.
Okay, so I founded Fifth Quarter Performance back in 2019,
mm-hmm.
where I started training in parks out of my truck. That's just kind of how it started. It was birthed from a dream I had in high school. Just really didn't know what it looked like. Ended up going to school, did an internship at a performance facility where we primarily trained football athletes, which was different from me because
mm-hmm.
I've never played football. But I fell in love with the concept, and it showed me, I guess, what I felt like if I had growing up, it would have made a world of difference outside of just being naturally athletic or talented. The more minute details on how to become faster, jump higher, kind of taking the guesswork out of a lot of things that athletes just go to the gym just to do because they know to do it,
mm-hmm.
but can, I'm going to say take a shortcut, but minimize trial and error is the best way I can kind of say it. So that motivated me to come back and fulfill a need that I felt like Lufkin did not have. Since I've been back, I'm learning that we are usually 3 to 5 years behind the curve of any type of innovation, especially when it comes to the sports industry. So Fifth Quarter Performance, our biggest goal right now is to bring kind of a Metroplex mindset to the sports industry here for rural city athletes.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, but you left out, last time you were on the podcast, you were in the back gym
mm-hmm.
of where you're at now. So from when you were on, what has happened since then?
Ooh, okay. A lot has happened. So the gym that we're the building, it was a previous gym where we were just in the back court area and we were paying an overhead. Things happened, long story short, over a year's time, things just kind of took a turn. And in that turn, we were given the opportunity to take over the whole facility, which was honestly, in the moment, quite overwhelming because we only had about 2 weeks to turn the building around. I had to change my business model because I never foresaw Fifth Quarter Performance really doing fitness, mm-hmm. which is not a bad thing. That just wasn't the original business plan. But it was one of those things where opportunity presents itself, you take advantage of it. And so in a 2-week period, I learned a lot, experienced a lot, but it's all been great. So now we do have the whole facility where there are 2 parts to the business. The front portion, there are fitness memberships, come and work out as you please. And then the back portion is where we do a lot of our sports training.
So it started out, you were doing this kind of client-based training athletes, mm-hmm. and then it's kind of morphed into now owning a gym, essentially, where people have memberships and they pay and come and go. And so now you're doing both of those things mm-hmm. together, which is awesome. So people, so Amanda and I both have kids who are athletes and who are doing sports and looking at this. And the world of athletics for kids and up into high school age has changed dramatically. Like some of the things that young kids now are doing, it's crazy. Like the science that's behind it now. Like even when I was a kid, it wasn't. I mean, drank some milk in the morning because you knew that was supposed to be good for you. And maybe we drank some water. Like I don't remember drinking a lot of water as a kid, but now it's gotten really. Tell us about that. How has that changed? That as far
It
as
has
the industry
evolved. I think you hit the nail on the head. Science.
Yeah.
That's really, if you know the science behind working out,
Mm-hmm.
the science behind human performance, biomechanics, all of those things, it just simply takes the guesswork out of reaching a end goal or a desired goal, which again is our biggest goal. There are some things we're working on from a technology base that'll also help take a lot of the guesswork out from programming and things of that nature. But beyond just sport athletes, we call fifth quarter performance the home of the athlete. We do believe that everyday people can be athletes. It's just one, it's a mindset. Two, is how you program. And three, just how determined are you to reach a certain goal, be it basketball related, football related, weight loss related, strength related, just developing the mind of an athlete.
I love that. I think there's a lot to that. When a lot of people, myself chiefly, I was in the best shape of my life when I was high school, early college. I was playing basketball. I was an athlete. I was running track. I was doing all these different things, and because I was training like an athlete for everything that we knew at that time. And then all of a sudden, 3-4 years later, I'm like, oh my goodness, I've gained 40 pounds since then. What happened is I stopped training like an athlete did.
Right.
And like that was a huge lifestyle shift for me because of that. And I love that you guys are doing that. So everyone can train like an athlete. And there's a lot to that that's involved. So people who are, for anyone or someone who has kids that are athletes, how does this process work? If they want to come to you and they want to start training and they want to start working, what sports are you working with? Is it kind of everything or specific sports? How does that work?
So right now, currently, specifically speaking to athletes, we have a basketball training program, a volleyball training program, and what we call Speed School, which Speed School is just a performance program for any athlete, for any sports. We work on just overall athleticism, becoming stronger, being faster. We've really tapped into the importance of injury prevention. So we do a lot of mobility work because that's something that's often overlooked, as well as we're starting to develop some nutrition programs. If I had to say two things that are most neglected in the sports world, is rest and is nutrition. So those are two things that we're really trying to start focusing attention on from an educational standpoint.
I love that. I mean, it's easy when you're at that age and burning just massive amounts of calories. You can kind of eat whatever you want and you don't really see a negative downside to that, but there is. You just don't notice it as easy when you're 17, 18 years old and highly athletic. And
I just have to plug in here. My oldest daughter, Coach Ivorie, she will always be Coach Ivorie to me. She was Taylor's coach, and the amount that I've seen her then and since knowing Coach Ivorie, she just pours into these kids.
I love that.
So knowing how much she pours into these kids and these kids admire, you inspire them. And now I'm going to start crying. To know that you have your business that you have now and you're sharing and pouring into all these community members. Thank you. You're truly inspiring for all ages. My daughter, almost 15, and even me, I won't say my age, but you're truly inspiring.
Thank you.
you really are.
Thank you.
And so that leads us to why you're here today. You won the Advocate for Opportunity Award. So tell us what that means for you. What that award means and what it meant to you to win that.
It was very humbling, especially considering from a standpoint of business, just getting started. I'm a first generation entrepreneur, so a lot of the things that I've been able to do solely by the grace of God and just reading, applying myself. I never really had a business mentor. So to be able to be recognized on a platform of that caliber so soon, being into business, was definitely humbling. It was also encouraging because for me, it's always bigger than me. So for other people to be able to see, it doesn't matter your gender, your age, your background, your ethnicity, anything like that, that if you want to do something, as long as you put in the work, that you can reap the fruits of your labor. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've heard you say this before, and I love hearing you talk about being a first generation entrepreneur because it's interesting. Mm-hmm. So I am as well. Like my parents both had W-2 jobs and worked for businesses forever. So I didn't see the realities of owning a business firsthand. So talk to us about that. Like how's that gone for you? I love hearing you talk about it.
It's been a journey.
Yeah.
But it's been a good journey. How can I sum that up? I would just say I'm able to share a story, and I'm a woman of faith, and so everything points back to Christ for me.
Yeah.
And just even from the vision standpoint, again, it's just when you follow your purpose and what God put you on this earth to do, that it doesn't matter, the lack of education you might have, the lack of experience you might have, that if you're willing to be obedient, that he'll open those doors and provide you with the resources and the relationships that you need to reach whatever goal that you have.
Yeah.
So for me, like you, I don't have firsthand experience to go sit down in front of anybody and say, hey, what did you do? How did you do it? It's been more of reading. I love to read, and I've taken advantage of social media, YouTube, TikTok now, a lot of online resources that you can cherry pick and kind of, take the meat, leave the bone, and just applying it, trying it. If it works, it works. If it don't, we go back to the drawing board.
I love that. It's we see this a lot in the podcast and with people that we talk to, and there's just such a generational expectation, I guess is what you call it. So it's like, if your parents are doctors, probably a really good chance that you're going to go into the medical field. And it's just kind of, that's what's expected of you. And then when you kind of go off and do your own thing like this, it's different, right? Because we didn't see it as kids, the parents having to work and the ups and downs of owning a business and wearing all the hats and doing all of that. So you've had to go out and learn all of that, trial by fire style, and try, like you said, try what works and what doesn't. So what's been challenging? So what's been hard for you as you've gone through this?
I would say the biggest challenge right now has just been the transition of, again, having to change the business model so quickly without having a lot of previous knowledge. I mean, I started off as a personal trainer, but that's a bit different than owning a gym.
Right.
As you said, there's so many hats you have to wear.
Right. Yeah.
And so with that, the biggest challenge I would just say is trying to find the sweet spot between staying true to the vision, but also offering something that people will enjoy, but also offering something that you're going to continue to progressively move on and be innovative about. So it's actually put us in a position where I'm anticipating changing the model again, probably in about 8 months or so, just from now that we've laid the foundation. Our biggest goal now, again, is to just change the culture of fitness and sports here in the city, and that's just going to require us to go against the grain a little bit, but that's what I thrive in, challenge. So I would say that's probably been the most challenging.
Yeah, awesome.
And you're on social media, so if anybody wants to follow you and follow your journey and all the offerings you have at Fifth Quarter Performance, where are you at on social?
So we have a Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, which all can be found at just Fifth Quarter Performance. And then we also have a website, which is www.fifthqp.com.
And Ivorie herself, if you want to go and follow her, she posts a lot of really great kind of behind the scenes of like being the business owner and some motivational stuff if you need something to kind of kick your butt into gear. She posts some really inspiring and motivational things as well, if you want to check that out. So one last question that I had was, so people who come in are doing this athlete training, what does that look like? Is that like a every day, weekly, couple times a week? What is that?
So right now, most of our programs are 2 to 3 times a week, just depending on the sport and what season we're in. We're actually upgrading our programming now to better serve some of the kids, or some of the athletes, should I say. So most times, minimum 2 weeks. We do believe that you need to come at least 2 weeks for a minimum of 2 to 3 months to actually see some type of change. That's also been kind of a challenge, is the lack of education when it comes to what's best for an athlete. And so that's something that we're trying to zone into, because there are right and wrong ways to go about a certain thing, just to ensure that you're putting the right effort and energy in the right place at the right time.
Sure.
So mostly 2 times a week right now is what we encourage.
Awesome. And so I know it kind of gears a lot towards kids, because that's, where a lot of but is it for all ages? Do they kind of break it into classes based on age? How does that work?
So we don't break our classes off by age or grade. We do more skill level, just so that it's more competitive for each athlete. They'll get the most out of the session versus having, same grade, but someone may have started basketball when they're 5, somebody may have started when they're 6 or 8. So skill level might be a little different. So we do it more based off skill level right now than age or grade.
And so these are group sessions that are happening?
Yes.
How does that work? Is it
group sessions? So we max out at 10 per group. That way, us is not just the skill development, is developing the IQ as well, from basketball, volleyball, as well, even just sports in general. So we get to talk about the teamwork aspect. We get to talk about you getting in what you're putting out, or you get out what you put in. So 10 for us is large enough to talk about in-game situations, but it's also intimate enough to still get some type of individual instruction from each coach.
Awesome. I love that. And you have multiple coaches now as well? It's not
So
not
we have
all
an
you, right?
intern and one other coach, Coach Cam, which I probably see him on Instagram
Yeah.
I see them all the time.
all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, that's who it is right now.
Awesome. I love that. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story and your journey with us and talking about the award. Congratulations again.
Thank
So deserving. Excited to have this little Leadership Lufkin reunion. I feel like I've missed everything, all the lunches, all that I haven't been able to make it to. So it feels like we just kind of got to have a little reunion here, but appreciate that. And thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you all for having me.
Awesome. Thank you so much again for listening to the podcast this week. Please go check out everything that Ivorie is doing. Follow her on all the places. If you have athletes or if you're interested in becoming an athlete or training like an athlete, go check her out, reach out, and get involved. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.